called the 5 ways. What's it called, everyone?
5 ways.
This is not whiskey, if that's what you're thinking, as some people have said. So, we get our number of leads. That's the first one, guys, of the 5 ways. Number of leads times the second part of the 5 ways, guys, which is what? Come on, guys, with a bit of energy. Conversion rate. That gives us our total number of customers. Times that by the average number of transactions, just so that you know what that metric means. The 5 ways average number of transaction is your average repeat rate. Okay, I heard a few years ago that in the Australian automotive industry that someone buys a new car every 3.5 years. You've got some people that like the new model, that want the early adopters, that want the new model every 6 months, or hire car companies where you're sort of forced to turn the thing over. Then you've got my father who only goes and updates one every 20 odd years. Anyone got a father or mother like that who do a bit of a slow burn on that one? Okay, so it's the average number of repeat business in a business. I've already talked about average dollar sale, right, or average sale. That's what I was talking about there before when I was talking about McDonald's. If you don't know that, you're in trouble. You should be. You times all that out, that'll give you your total revenue. So literally, for the people that are new to this, if you go and have a look at your P&L, your profit and loss statement, whatever you did last month, last year, last quarter, will be related from all of those. Okay, then we times that by the profit margin as a percentage, which gives us our profit. Now this framework, guys, is on every business on the planet. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you own the fish and chip shop around the corner, the cafe, the bookkeeping business up the road. This model is at play for everyone. So let's go and put some numbers on this. Now, by me doing this, I'm just going to suggest to you that this is a $200,000 business. I've done this sometimes when people will say, yeah, but I'm a $20 million business. I've just started coaching a $300 million business in New Zealand. These guys have this happening in their business. So it doesn't matter whether you're turning over 30 grand or 300 million. This is a retail store. Even by me saying a retail store, I don't want the people in a non-retail environment to go, oh God, he only works with retail people, okay? I work with every style of business. I just have to give some example. Is that okay? Yes or no? Yes. I don't want you to worry about the numbers. I want you to worry about the concept. What I want you to worry about? So we're going to tackle number of leads first. Who could do with some more leads in the room? Raise your hand, please. Okay, so I'm going to suggest to you this is a really important part of what you do. So I've just written up here about 10 by 10 marketing strategies. What is it, guys? 10 by 10. Okay, now what this principle says for the people that do need more leads in their business, that every strategy that you pick out of the toolbox and go and insert into your business where you're active, please write that down, it has to be an active strategy. Some people say to me, yeah, I've got a website. And I go, yeah, when did you last update it? How much SEO is happening on it? And they go, oh, well, we did that a year or two ago. Okay, so for me, you can't actually then call it a strategy because it's not active. Okay, most people's grandparents have websites these days, so that doesn't mean anything if you're wanting to promote it. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Okay, good. So it has to be active. So for every strategy that you put into play throws 10% off to your total marketing mix. I'll say that again. For every active strategy that you have throws off overall 10% to your overall marketing mix. So if I've only got 2 strategies that are active, what's the total percent that it's throwing at my marketing mix, everyone? 20%. If I've got 6, how much have I got? 60%, right? So what I'm trying to do is to get people up to the maximum, right, and sometimes people go past this. I've got a few clients that now have got 13, 14 different marketing strategies all working in play to bring more leads in. Okay, but in terms of the concept, I'm trying to get people to at least to 100%. Does that make sense? Hello? Yes. Okay, good. You know, and part of that is when we start putting a marketing plan down in a business, when we start to test and measure, we also want to find out what's working and what's not. Okay, great example is my physios back in the day. Okay, Andrew and Michelle. I started with them. Andrew, even though he didn't have any test measure, he was making a lot of decision on expenditure based on what, you guys? Gut. What's gut stand for again? Gave up thinking. Okay, so essentially he was saying, you know, look, we've got a lot of older people that come to their physio practice, etc. Surely, you know, all of them do yellow pages, i.e. the brick, the phone book. Therefore, that surely must work. And I'm like, well, you know, show me the test and measure. It was around the time of year where you have to make the decision on whether to go with yellow pages again. Didn't have anything, and he said, look, I'm going to outrank the coach on this one. I said, cool, if you want to go down that road. He bought it. There was, you know, top right-hand corner on the right-hand page, cost us like 12 grand. Do you know how many leads that strategy brought us in over the subsequent year? About 2 or 3. All right, so if you do we figured out that those 2 or 3 that, funnily enough, did convert would actually need to stay and transact with that physio until they're about 600 years old to pay that off. Does that make sense? So if you're not testing and measuring, you don't know what's working and what's not. Okay? So part of this is to get into shape what isn't current working, and then we then go and look to then do new. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So maybe just write down how many strategies you've got down, how many of them are active and have actually got some proper strategic thinking on them. Okay? The other thing too is if you don't have a marketing plan, for me, if you're truly needing to drive more leads in a business, if you don't have a marketing plan, it just for me is like trying to take the aircraft off and not actually have anything written. Here's another little tip. Some of you guys are following me on Facebook. I've got a quote that I put up every now and again. Any marketing plan must have a marketing calendar. Okay, there must be a series of events that have been all thought out strategically. I just don't, most people's idea of marketing is let's just go and do something. You know, they feel energized because they're doing something, but there's actually no real strategic plan. Here's the question. Who's ever done a little bit of that? We just run off and be busy. Come on, I know most of you have in some shape or form. I want more strategic thinking rather than just going and pulling levers in the cockpit left, right and centre. So my question to you is, with a proper marketing plan, really testing, measuring your business, and really focusing on number of leads, where they're coming from, do you think you could get an extra 10% in your business this next 12 months? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? Yes. Okay, for a lot of you, you could. Okay, some people are at their limit on this one, but most aren't. Okay, that's number of leads. What's the second one up here, you guys? Conversion rate. This is such an easy one for me to work on. I'm going to give you one strategy which we normally do with most businesses that we coach up front. If I'm wanting to move my conversion rate, I'm going to need one of these. What do I need, everyone? The sales process is with the inquiry, whether that be in a retail environment. We've got some people obviously that are in a retail environment where people will buy right here, right now. And I've got other clients where there's like a 2-year sales cycle from inquiry to get the order. It's 2 years. I used to run a business in the UK where it was about anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 years from me generating an inquiry to us sending them an invoice. Okay? If you're in the nuclear reactor business, I promise you your lead time's about 20 years. Okay? So It doesn't matter whether you're on a short cycle or a long one. What's the process? I want to take them on a process. I want to do better than the next guy or girl up the road. What is the process that I need to do? And is it actually mapped out? Could you now show me, hey, this is how we do our sales process? You know, we take them on this journey, etc. What's the other, apart from increasing the overall conversion rate by splitting it out and mapping it and then measuring it, what's the other benefit of doing this, you guys? Systemize. What else? Reduce chaos, very much so. What else? One more I'm looking for here. Yeah, the team know what's going on, is that you can measure different stages, i.e., rather than just looking at it as a big bucket that, hey, we fall off somewhere in there, I want to know that if I've got a problem there, if some script or a team member or whatever is not doing, or do they fall off when we send them a quote, where does the process fall down? Does that make sense? Hello? Yes. Okay, if the person's yawning beside you, just give them a little nudge in the kidneys. Actual fact, everyone just sit up a little bit, just change your state. Give your lumbar a bit of a kick. The best example I've got on this is a guy on the Sunshine Coast. I worked with him for about 4 years, actually he was up there before, Paul. He was in the cleaning franchise business, working for he owned the whole Sunshine Coast and sort of eastern seaboard up to about Townsville, I think it was. And his job was to sell franchises to people. Okay, now he'd owned the business a couple of years, and because he'd done such a bad job of selling franchises, he had to actually work in the franchise as a franchisee. Literally, when I got him, he was cleaning toilets. Okay, no word of a lie. And I said to him, well, surely you bought a franchise. There must be some form of system there. Tell me how you go about it. And he said, I have nothing. I have a brand and I go out and use a bit of hopium. Right? So I said, good, we're going to put down a sales process to engineer. We're going to work out how to pick people's psychology. We're going to put certain scripts, certain triggers to get information so that we can help people to make a better informed decision. Do you think that helped, by the way? Yes or no? Yeah, so he went from zero, one sale he had in the 2 years before I met him. The guy sold 51 franchises on the eastern seaboard in the next 18 months on the back of that one strategy. Good strategy or good strategy? Yeah, all right. He didn't clean toilets anymore after that one, I can assure you. So my question is, how good is your sales process? If for the people that are trying to improve their conversion rate, what does that look like? I also gave you another one before about, remember the 3-point guarantee and the USP. That's very important on sales. Everyone cool with that? Yep. Do you think by doing that, guys, and those other strategies I've talked about as a very minimum, that you could increase your conversion rate by 10%? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're going to go off to the third part of the 5 ways, guys. What's the third part down here in blue? Number of transactions. Remember, this is about repeat business. I always give this story. It's such a simple one. And I'm going to say that for most businesses, this is one of the most easiest areas of the 5 ways to work on. Why is number of transactions and working on repeat business such an easy part of the 5 ways to work on? Because they already love you. They've already transacted with you. They already had enough confidence, okay, to do some work with you, but you never went back and said, hey, come on back. Okay, so for me, here's a quote. Quote me on this one. If you're not contacting your client's customer base every 90 days, someone else will be. It's a fact. Some of you guys in the room need to be doing it more than every 90 days. And for me, it could be a simple newsletter. It could be a simple, hey, you haven't been in. Whatever that looks like for your business. We've all got the ability to go and work on this area of our company if we really want to. Okay? So here's the story of Mike. Mike the mechanic, true story. Write this down, because I literally have had people have listened to this story, gone back, done it, and then came back, 3 months later, 2 months later, and said, "Hey, Bruiser, I did this." That's what everyone calls me, if you hadn't already worked that out. So, Mike the mechanic. Mike literally gave over his last $3,000 for coaching about 11, 12 years ago. Fact. The guy down in Caboolture. And he said, "If this doesn't work, I'm in the crapper." And I said, "No problem, let's get in and do it." And I said, one of the first things I said to him is, "Tell me about your existing database." And his first question was, "What's a database?" And I went, that's all good, we can work with that." And I said, "So have you got like a computer?" And he said, "Oh, we got this thing over here." And I said, "Right, any names in there?" "No." And I said, "So have you got any record of your clients? How long you had this thing open for, Mike?" And he said, 16 years. So I said, "No problem. So tell me, have you got any record of your clients?" And he goes, "Yes, Bruce, come on, a little thing." We walk out the back door and he takes this sheet off. And those olden days where you go through the cards? He had a card for every client that he had done a car on in 16 years. And I said, "Mike, there is gold sitting right on this table here, buddy. We've got to get out and do something with it." So I said, "Mike, first thing is you and Leanne," that's the wife's name, "you've got to get that into a computer so that we can start doing some work with that and use all that great data." I came back about a week later, bloodshot eyes and what have you, and I said, "Right, we've got it done." And I said, next thing is we're going to send them something. And this is when, and I still think depending on the businesses, it's got some level of strategy even in today's age, because we're so email focused. I said, "We're going to send them a letter." And he said, "No problem." He said, "What do you want in the letter?" We designed up a script, and basically I said, every marketing piece, this goes back to this one here before, must have an offer. What does every marketing piece and offer need to have, you guys? Offer. So I said, "Mike, go and tell me what the offer is." And I said, take my breath away. So he came back the next week and he said, "Bruiser, here's the letter." And I said, "Good job." And I said, "What's the offer?" And he said, "Well, I'm going to offer them to come in for a service of their existing car, and I'm going to offer them a free set of rubber windscreen wiper blades." And I said to him, "Mike," I said, "take my breath away. That's not really doing that at this stage." All right, so he said, and I said, "Why don't we change it?" He said, "No, this is where the coach got outranked." And he said, this is not a word of a lie, he said, I hope there's no one here from Caboolture. He basically said, "Everyone in Caboolture is a tight ass, they'll come here in droves." So I said, "No problem, Big Mike, you're the man." So we sent that, right? We'd send 300 letters a week. Literally, Leanne would be up most of the night doing these. And we'd start with A, and the aim was to get through all of these in a given year. He rang me about a week, 10 days later, and said, "Bruce, I cannot believe it. They're literally lining up at the door." All right? We ran that strategy continuously for about nearly 2 years. All right? And we would just get through, and we started sending more. We started employing more people, etc., etc. And it was all on the back of the rubber windscreen wiper blade, I promise you. The interesting thing about that, and this is what some people do, is when a certain strategy is working, what do we sometimes want to do? We want to change it, right? So he came to me and he said, "I'm getting bored of this." And I said, "Yeah, me too." We're making heaps more money, and he had, he'd bought a farm by this stage and a few other things. And he said, "Well, I said, what does everyone else want in Caboolture?" And he said, "Alcohol." So we said, "Right, well, we're going to do a $10 Liquorland strategy." And I can tell you it was a complete flop. We ran it for about 5 weeks. The phone stopped ringing. Guess what we did? Went back to the rubber windscreen wiper blades, and we ran that for about another year until he sold it. So the point about it is, no matter what that looks like in your business, how can you do more? How can you go and touch your clients more? Give them more encouragement. How can you make them feel more like a VIP? Okay? It's such an easy area of a business to work on. Yet most people don't have a plan or any strategy to do this. Average dollar sale, guys. You still with me? Hello? Okay, good. I've given you the Macca's one. Here's another one. Who likes being upsold? Raise your hand. Like you know it's coming and... No, you don't like being upsold. I'm the same. Okay, is when I feel that there's coming. I always tell about the story of my mobile phone retail shop here in Buderim. Okay, worked with Andrew for about 3 years until he got out of that business. Anyway, basically, what we did there is I walked in, there's all mobile phones on one side of the room, there's all the accessories. And I said, which one do you make, what's your margin like on the phones? What do you think he said? Bit raw. And I said, what about your margin on your accessories? And he said, they're awesome. Okay, and I said, good. So for every phone that you sell, how many accessories do you sell? And he said, basically for 4 phones we sell 1 accessory. And I said, well, that's pretty crap. And he goes, now when you say that, yeah, it is. So what we did here, here's the strategy. We put a checklist strategy in. This is an average dollar sales strategy. So basically with the sales reps in that different shop, in the shop that we had there, they then had a process on a clipboard to then ask the person, so that when they had decided on their phone, we would then say, great, good choice on the Motorola or whatever. Would it be okay if we took you through a couple of simple questions to get more value out of your phone? And the answer every time was, ladies and gentlemen, yes. So the first one was, hey, do you know that on average you'll get about 6 months more life from your phone if it's got a case? Do you think that would be a good idea? Yes, that went into the thing. Do you know that in the state of Queensland the police don't like it if you're speaking on the phone? Do you think some headpiece would work? The answer would be yes. Okay, their average dollar sale on that one checklist strategy, okay, went up over 160%. Okay, my question on you, if you actually put some real thought on this, and another way to do this, guys, especially for people with team, is to have a target. Okay, so you've got a target on the wall. What's the average sale? You know, if we can increase it by 10%, you know, do we go, you know, have a night out? What's the target? Okay. So my question to you, if you're really focused on this area, do you think you could get a measly old 10%? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? Yes. I think you could. Last one here is margin. I'm going to move to there. This is number 5 of the 5 ways. Number 5 of the 5 ways is all around margin. I'm going to start with costs. Most people overspend in their business. Okay, it's called, write this one down, where you pimp your ride. What is it, you guys? Pimp your ride. So have you ever seen those American movies where, you know, the gangsters, they get those trucks and they hot them up and they got the wheels spinning and they got lights under the thing and everything? You know, they pimp their ride, yeah? They overspent on it. Now, a lot of us basically do this in our business. You know, we could have got away with this laptop, but because this one was the better one, well, then we're going to go down that road. So for me, there's normally an overspend. My averages in terms of looking at businesses in the last 15 years of doing this is normally there's about 12% of an overspend somewhere in the cost structure of a business, normally. Okay, now some of you might go, oh, well, I'm already on it, so it might be only 1% or 0, and some we've had huge gains where it's like 20 or 30% in cost reduction. Does that make sense? The other way on the margin side is to do what? Increase price, thank you. So if we've got a service that is valuable and we've got, hey, we know why they buy off us, we've maybe got some other guarantees, etc., and we're offering more value, do you think you could charge an extra 5 or 10% more? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Now, some of you, I don't know every single business. I don't know, some of you may not be able to charge 5, 10%. And some of you can. Does that make sense? So, in terms of how the 5 ways rolls, you guys, this is the 5 ways. 10%, you all said yes on that you could take the 10% up on each. 4 becomes 4,400. 10% up on a percent. Percent on a percent is not 35, it's 27.5. you'll actually see here in this column here that it actually starts compounding. Okay, so 2 goes to 2.2, $100 up goes to 110. This business, that's only on the four of the 5 ways, has gone from 200 to 292,000 of revenue. Their margin's gone up as well, that 10%, so they've gone up from 50 to 80. Guys, any business here, this is all you need to know. I know that was a little bit complex there. Any business in this room, you do 10% on each of the 5 ways. Fact, doesn't matter whether you're the grocery shop, cafe, tyre shop, doesn't matter. Your turnover will go up by 46%. How much, you guys? 46%. And your profits go up by massive, how many percent? 61%. Any business on the planet. Literally, guys, I joke with some of my clients about this, is I literally have a problem now going out and going to a cafe, a restaurant, and just I'm thinking the 5 ways. I'm thinking, what could these guys do to, take a certain part of their 5 ways up, 5, 10, 20%. Okay, so 61%. Who'd like 61% more in your business this next year on profits? Come on, I know you're out there.